Ian Davis is Oracle's Vice President of Commerce Solutions. He joined ATG in 2000, and while in product marketing, he spearheaded the move of the ATG from an on-prem model to a hosted offering. Since Oracle's acquisition in 2011, he has driven the creation of the Oracle Commerce Cloud, which a lot of our members are a part of. Ian loves commerce and web applications development with the same passion as the days he joined ATG nearly 20 years ago. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Ian Davis.
Thank you, Chad. Good morning, everyone. 20 years, wow. I guess 20 years ago, Ed Koch was wondering what the hell this interweb thing was all about. Tom McFadden probably had hair. I don't know, Tom, did you have hair? Yeah, long time ago. Actually, it's funny, I was talking to a young guy recently. He was designing an agent-facing application for commerce, and he's like, yeah, no, we're trying to keep it really clean line design, because agents, they need to be quick on the screens. They want to tab around really quickly, so we kept it really nice grid layout and everything like that. And I said, what, like an AS400 screen? This guy's like, what? So that's what 20 years does for you, unfortunately. Anyway, it is my great pleasure, and when I joined ATG 20 years ago, I had no idea that I'd be the guy that's trying to decide what we do with these products. So it is great fun, and as Chad said, I love commerce, and I love doing or understanding about the trends in web application development as much now as I did back then. So it's great to be at the event. It's great to see you all. This is like our own little family. Like, I'm in Oracle now, huge, great place, but it's great to come to events where we're amongst friends, we're talking the same discussions, we're having the same conversations, and we understand exactly what we're talking about. So thank you for the invite, guys. So, usual stuff with Oracle. Everything I say could be lies. And I have no comeback on that whatsoever. But other than that, this works both ways, by the way. Sometimes, as Gary will tell you, I make up new roadmap while I'm giving this presentation. It's like new ideas come to me all the time. So who knows? But hopefully by the end of this, you'll have somewhere close to what we're thinking about the future for our commerce solutions. So let's talk about a little bit about our on-prem solutions, Oracle Commerce, that we all know and love. I'll just recap a little bit about what we had. I probably have two mics going on here, one here, maybe. What we had in 11.3.1 and kind of what we're going with next with on-prem, with Oracle Commerce. I'm going to flip over and talk about Commerce Cloud, a little bit about what we delivered in 2018 as the product matures extremely quickly, and give you a little insight on where we think we're going with that as well. These guys have given me 45 minutes. Those of you who know me, I've never talked for 45 minutes in my life. So I'm gonna probably talk really quickly in some areas just to be able to keep my deadline. But if you need me, grab me at the end, because unlike many of you, I don't get out of here until 8 o'clock tonight until I hit a red eye back to the UK. But let's chat afterwards. Let's get going. 11.3.1. Actually, a good old proportion of folks have upgraded or are in the process of upgrading to 11.3 and beyond, which is great news. It's good to keep up to date with where we are, not only from the latest features that we have, but also just from the platform. And as we're seeing all the security patches going into the latest operating systems and databases and everything like that, it's really important to keep up to date, because it's important, because none of us want to get hacked these days. But 11.3.1, which we delivered probably over a year ago now, at that time, it's all about this ongoing remediation of getting Flex out of the application. It is unfortunate we kind of seem to spend just as much time ripping Flex out as the amount of time we put Flex in the first place. But JavaScript frameworks, nice interactive websites has come such a long way now. We can do just as cool things in the business control center as we ever did with Flex. We did a good amount of improvements in the search engine. So improving indexing, thread optimization, all sorts of things to just get more grunt work out of the search index and the search experience on top as well. And we actually leverage some of that search capability by improving some of the performance of our promotions and pricing engine in the on-prem product as well. But let's get into specifics. So in 11.3.1, we did a good proportion of transference from the Flex UIs into the JavaScript UIs. This isn't just a technology flip. For those of certainly the partners in the room and some customers who, as well as building a nice front-end experience to your customers, also go in there and start changing the business control center to meld it in a way that suits your merchandisers and your business users' need. The moving from Flex to JavaScript HTML makes that job a hell of a lot easier. It makes it a much more customizable experience and manageable experience and a single skill set that you need for your developers. So that was, as well as the fact that Flex and Flash is going away, end of life, it is proving to be quite a key saving in the skill set in being able to customize the business control center using kind of more native technologies. That was really the main thing of 3.1. It wasn't a huge release, but in terms of what we're doing for on-prem release moving forward, it comes into three main categories. One is finally removing Flex altogether. It's been probably a 3-release strategy to remove Flex from the UI. In our next release, which is looking around about the December timeframe at the moment, naming to be determined, but highly likely to be 11.3.2, all of the Flex will be gone. Second thing is some best practices and some new technologies on how to leverage Oracle Commerce in a microservices environment. And I'll go into some detail on that, as well as delivering some best practices around how people can move from their on-premise solutions over to cloud for those of you that want to do that. So first of all, the Business Control Center for our next release. All Flex is gone, so all of the main screens in the Business Control Center, all of the experience management is now moved over to a library that we use internally and is rolled across all Oracle applications called Oracle Jet. It's our JavaScript library, UI library, component library that we use. So that gives us a tremendous benefits in being able to align to a library that's widely used across the whole of Oracle, which kind of means that the Business Control Center starts to look like a lot of other Oracle tools. So that's nice from a skills and training perspective as well. But in the next release, the catalog, content, the media library, promotions, management, all of the merchandising and main dashboard that you arrive at is now completely done and moved away in the new UI. And it is really sleek looking. It's really nice to use, and it's snappy as well. It's very, very fast. Likewise with Experience Manager, a lot of the tree controls, a lot of the management of the page, so you can take full control of the experience that you're designing, just goes a hell of a lot cleaner with the new UI. In addition to the final removal of Flex and move over to the Business Control Center over to JavaScript, the main theme that we have for our December-ish release is some enablement around microservices. If I'm honest, the theme around how our customers are using our on-prem tools today is more about how do I leverage my Oracle Commerce application in the kinds of enterprise architectures that I'm now faced with. And so component-based architectures, service-oriented architectures, microservices architectures, and the associated technologies that go with that are a big part of what we're doing with the commerce application for on-prem. And so we've done some new things. Some of it is, quite frankly, us trying some things ourselves and coming up with some recommended best practices on how we recommend you use Oracle Commerce in a microservices architecture. But we've also done some things in the product to help with that as well. So starting from the top, we've done, or are going to be publishing some examples of how you might want to leverage your ATG application and allow it to do its registration of its services into a registration library or discovery library for where consuming applications may pick up those services from. So we're going to be publishing some examples of that. Likewise with an API gateway, making sure all the standardized payloads are published, all of the endpoints are published from a retrievable place. Secondly, we are delivering an extremely lightweight nucleus container, which strips away down to the bare minimum so that if you want to use your ATG skill base, but go and start building your own microservices, you now have a very minimalist container that you can start building that out from and running that in the architecture where your core commerce application may be running in parallel. And we've done some things so that the communication between those microservices you might be running in separate containers, where cache management is managed between all of the running services and a number of other things. The final piece that we've done there is, this has been a long time coming. We haven't had a new type of repository in ATG for quite some time, but as part of the web services work that we've done, we actually now have implemented a new type of repository called a service-backed repository. So rather than a repository being backed by a data source like a database or an LDAP or whatever, a service-backed repository is a new repository interface that itself is backed by a REST interface in the background. So if you want to connect to an application that already offers up a data source that is connected through REST services, you can essentially map that through a service-backed repository that we have coming in the new release to leverage that existing service where it lives and bringing that into your ATG application or your new application that you might be running in one of the new microservices containers we have. So quite a few architectural things we've done there. Some best practice, some actual technology implementation as part of the new product, but it's starting to bring some good information and some good tools on how to use Oracle Commerce in a microservices world. So some cool stuff there. As I said, that's roundabout going to be the December release. Just a recap on where we are in terms of support for that. So many of you in the room will know historically the .0 releases were what we classified as major releases. And those carry with them a 5-year premium support kind of support window. And then you could pay extra and you have an additional 3 years ahead of that, if you will. Minor releases have always aligned to that major release. So when we did 11.0, everything we've done since then essentially aligns to that support window. So 11.3 was a major release. That was in April 2017. 11.3.1, which is the current release we're on right now, really takes you out to premium support in 2022 and an extended report out to 2025. As I said, it is likely, highly likely, that the release that we have around at the end of the year is going to be 11.3.2, and therefore it itself will also align to the 5-year, 3-year window, taking that support out to 2025 as well. My point being that despite how much our competitors would love to put the death knell inside of our beloved Oracle Commerce, it is a well-supported and continue to be released solution. I'm sure they would dearly love me to stand up here and say this thing is being end-of-lifed. Sorry to put the dampeners on that, but investment continues, development continues, releases continue, support continues. So you are safe on your Oracle Commerce investment. Let's flip over to cloud. Cloud has, I'd say at this point, a larger investment from Oracle, our development team. It is clearly aligned to the broader Oracle strategy, whereby we think within the next 7 to 10 years, enterprise computing will, for the most part, be done on cloud-based solutions, the outliers being those that are tied into heavy compliance and certification industries where they're going to take a little bit longer. However, Commerce Cloud is really where we're putting the bulk of our investment right now. But it's broader than just commerce. Many of you will have heard Katrina talk about this vision we have called total commerce, because commerce ain't what it was when I joined ATG in 2000. When you look at the convergence of what we learned from B2C, personalization, promotion, merchandising, online, together with what we get from B2B, modeling complex products and services, configurations, quotation flows, account-based ordering. These things, together with what we're learning from different industries and different business models and new business models like subscription management and how loyalty schemes come together, that whole convergence is what we call total commerce right now. And that convergence of commerce, CPQ, loyalty, subscriptions management is where we see the commerce market evolving over the next 5 years. So Commerce Cloud as a single solution is aligned into that total commerce message. Breaking news, many of you may not have seen, this is hot off the press. So if you haven't seen this already, ta-da! We are, again, very, very pleased. There's a lot of hard work to get a dot where we need it to get. There's a lot of people in this room, my colleagues, that help with this. But there we are again. We are out there as leaders in commerce, in the commerce market with our solutions. This year, again, if I was my competition, I'd be doing the same as well. It's like, oh yeah, but this is based on ATG, right? We actually led completely with Commerce Cloud in this solution, and while Gartner gives us a lot of benefit and a lot of credence for having a very solid ATG Oracle Commerce install base. In terms of the demos and how we went to market with how we led our response to this one is very much a Commerce Cloud-led proposition. And so it was a very interesting set of placements this year. I mean, yeah, we got the usual. Actually, there's a lot fewer dots than there used to be. Players come and go in this space. We've been around doing this quite a long time. But to see our vision for what we think commerce is, which is driven by my own wacky ideas or our own wacky ideas, together with working with our partners and our customers and understand how you use our products, that's really what drives that x-axis there, making sure that we've got the vision correct on how we're going and building out our solutions. The ability to execute, what you'll find in this space is Gartner never likes to put an outright leader on both axes. So we'll take that one and we'll just say, yeah, work to do on execution. So work in progress. But anyway, a great result. So for those of you in the room that are our customers, you're backing the right horse and you continue to back to the right horse. But what does cloud really mean in terms of the solutions we're building out? Pretty fundamentally, very different than an on-prem solution. For a cloud solution, we really have to be very clean in separation of concerns. Separating the Oracle code away from our customers and our partner code, so there is very clean definition between the two. Not something we ever did in on-prem. You know, people would, and we've seen it, lots of on-prem applications where people have done open heart surgery on that application, and hard to determine what's Oracle code and what isn't these days. But in cloud, that clean separation is really important. Everything is API first. We think about the API before we think about the UI. So a different design philosophy for how we build out this solution. Yes, Commerce Cloud has got lots of on-prem code under the hood. You know, why would we redo a cart and redo a catalog and redo a search engine? But the external persona of the application is a completely clean set of APIs. There is no backdoors to Oracle Commerce Cloud. that API-centric approach and that complete separation of concerns, Oracle code away from customizations, means that we have backward compatibility. We run backward compatibility tests on every single release, completely automated, and it means that we're able to drip feed new releases to our customers constantly. And that cadence started as 4 releases a year, went to 6 releases a year. We're now on a cadence with our customers where we're upgrading round about every 6 weeks. So we have new features and functions in Commerce Cloud being drip fed into it all the time. And actually we're finding that quickening the cadence of doing more frequent, smaller releases allows us to get a much better quality product as well. It's a phenomenon that you'll see across many SaaS solution providers, and it works very well for us. Goes without saying, it's a completely monitored and managed environment. There's an ecosystem, again, not something we ever really nurtured in on-prem because everyone did their own customizations in their own way. It was hard to have an easy reuse model, but in Commerce Cloud we have an active ecosystem, a marketplace where people can pick up payment gateway integrations and ratings review integrations and all these things and actually get some accelerators into project development by tapping into the marketplace. It also allows us to have a lot of productized integrations as well because we're a lot more diligent over the APIs and how they're used. It allows us to bring and leverage other Oracle tools to create integrations between commerce applications as well as other things in our CX suite, so marketing, support, service, and sales as well. Plus all the financial model as well. So Commerce Cloud is not building a cloud product and just running it in the cloud. There are people and processes that have to be put in place around this as well. So we've made those investments around customer service, customer support, making sure that the end deliverable is really a SaaS solution. And it's funny how when you go through that checklist of what I think a cloud solution should be, how many of our cloud competitors actually fall down on what I think is a pretty basic checklist. But this is what we've built for Commerce Cloud. Just to emphasize a little bit about that separation of concerns and what is a fundamental design approach for Commerce Cloud is the APIs and what we call the webhooks. So regardless of how our customers and our partners extend Commerce Cloud, you can't get into the box on the left-hand side. That's mine. Your role as customers and partners is to build extensibility around it using the APIs if you want to get information out of Commerce Cloud and tapping onto the webhooks, the profile creations, the order submits, all of the things that happen in Commerce Cloud that fire an event out. And those events could be asynchronous, I've got an order, I'll tell anyone that's interested, or it might be synchronous about like, I need a tax calc now. But that's the only ins and outs that we have with Commerce Cloud. And that very simple design philosophy allows us to keep to the clean APIs, the backward compatibility, and the separation of concerns. And it's a model that's working very, very nicely for us. Some of the things we've delivered in Commerce Cloud over the last probably 12 months, storefront is pretty fundamental. We went a lot further in Commerce Cloud in actually providing tools where you could design and take control of the storefront experience than we did with our on-prem solutions. So you have a design studio, drag, drop, widgets, configurations to design the experience that you have with customers. So the ownership of the storefront experience means that we go a lot further in terms of owning URL routing, 301 redirects, the SEO capabilities built into the product, how JavaScript and CSS gets loaded, and all sorts of optimizations and lazy loading, and lots of things that historically customers have had to build and optimize themselves in their own storefront application project, we kind of do in Commerce Cloud for free. And the projects that our partners and our customers take on is more about configuring the services that are available in the back end, and assembling the front end layer. And so the project is a different makeup than starting from a blank JSP editor. So lots of things we did on the storefront. Some cool things like advanced personalization. This is where cloud, you get additional benefit from a cloud solution. You're able to tap into other Oracle Cloud services that we can't do with on-prem. So something like dealing with advanced personalization, where we were using an add this, which was an acquisition of Oracle, an API to get additional information about anonymous shoppers, so you can build audiences or customer segmentation around things that you didn't know about the customer, but another part of Oracle with our data cloud does know. So starting to drive personalized experience from information that may not just have been learnt on your website, but from all over different sites based on browsing search behavior of your anonymous shoppers. So some cool things there. Lots of B2B improvements. A real big selling point for Commerce Cloud is it's one of very few solutions that is a truly cloud SaaS-based solution that combines both B2C and B2B in the same box. And so clearly we've leveraged a lot of our heritage and functionality in being able to deliver this, but we're building out way beyond what we ever had in our on-prem solutions for B2B. Obviously, we've already done all of the account-based and custom catalogs and custom price lists that you need as the table stakes for a B2B solution. But we continue to do things like quick ordering and purchase lists and punch out, which is something we never did in ATG. We do that inside of Commerce Cloud. So if you want to provide punch out solutions into your ERP solutions, you can do that as well. All sorts of cool things that are very ripe for the B2B market. With Commerce Cloud, we put search in the box. I'm always have been a firm believer that the search experience is got to be an intrinsic part of the commerce whole. It's very hard, both from an end user's perspective, a shopper to a site, as well as a merchandiser, to be in two separate tools and think about merchandising your search solutions separate from your merchandising my catalog in its normal way. So in Commerce Cloud, we really made the decision to intrinsically link search and the catalog and the experience all together into a single tool. And in doing so, also trying to remove some of the complexities around how to configure the search engine to do its magic at the same time as well. So things that were like, if I'm honest, a little bit hairy inside of search in our on-prem solutions, we've kind of turn that down into a set of slideys and checkboxes and drop-downs inside of Commerce Cloud. Makes it a much more merchandiser-friendly tool to manage the search experience inside of Commerce Cloud. So being able to take control over the boost and bury and the degree to which certain aspects of the products properties gets used to influence the rankings of search. All of those things are just done for you inside of Commerce Cloud. Server-side extensions. So in Commerce Cloud, actually this was not new, but I'm mentioning it because it is such a fundamental part of the differences between our on-premise tools and the cloud solution. I've already mentioned that you kind of externalize the extensibility or the extensions that you make that make your site unique to our customers. On the client side, that's just HTML and JavaScript. But on the server side, in this, following this vein of separating out those extensions from the core Oracle code, we took the decision to follow the JavaScript approach server side as we did client side. So we provide a node environment that runs alongside Commerce Cloud where you can put your server-side extensions, which can do anything you want. We actually run it inside of our PCI zone, so you can put things like your payment gateway integrations, but you could be putting scheduled tasks for Google feeds, putting your OMS integrations in there. If there are another set of features and functions you want to make available to the storefront experience, you might develop those in Node and run those in the server-side extension environment as well, and a whole load of other custom features. Coupled with that, those that you probably may have gone to Emma's presentation earlier in the week, probably tapped into a little bit further how this thing can, this onion can go out further into other aspects of Oracle, where you're getting into serverless functions and integration and Kubernetes clusters and all sorts of other extension points for how to grow out the application as well. So rather than ATG, where you used to get in there and do your Java coding kind of in line and replacing Nucleus components, the externalizing of your extensions for Commerce Cloud opens up all sorts of languages and environments where you can build those extensions that fits the needs and skill set of your own particular environment, but allows us to continually upgrade Commerce Cloud with new features on a 6-weekly basis. So that's where we've been, but where are we going with Commerce Cloud? Where are we with Commerce Cloud? Anyway, some of the key themes we've got running through our development activities right now is, number one, aligning to that total commerce vision that we have and that you would have heard Katrina talk about earlier in the week. When we look at what we have with Commerce Cloud, when we look at the features of CPQ, our configure, price, and quote solution, configuring complex products and services, running complex quotation flows for B2B, that kind of functionality, coupled together with the emergence of subscription services as a trend for buying and selling products and services overall, and the inclusions of loyalty, putting a lot of effort in bringing that vision to market, because we really think it is a very differentiating viewpoint and is testament to why we're on the right-hand side of that Gartner chart right there. Still putting a lot of investment in B2B. It's interesting finding, especially from a SaaS solutions perspective, the needs and demands of a B2B customer vis-a-vis a B2C customer. Integrations is very, very important, very key. Scalability of like catalog sizes into the millions, all sorts of things that the B2B market brings at us as a SaaS solution that could have been solved on an individual basis in an on-prem product, but we have to solve those problems in a generalized way in the cloud solution. Means that we continue to put a lot of effort in bringing and rounding out that B2B solution set inside of cloud. We've also been doing a lot of work to evolve Commerce Cloud to fit the telco comms market, which is a very different style of commerce. It's commerce where you're perhaps buying and configuring very complex services, your quad play of your mobile plan and your TV package, and buying that together with a particular promotion, and then I'm upgrading my movies package 6 months later, but in the context of the thing I bought 6 months ago, and very complex style of commerce. And so that work we've done for telco is actually unlocks Commerce Cloud for all sorts of other industries as well, and other types of business model, which makes Commerce Cloud applicable to now as well. So a lot of effort going on there, and you'll start to see some announcements of us doing what we've been up to in that space very soon. Service transparency and monitoring. When we're building a SaaS solution, it's not just about the features and functions that the merchandisers and the business users want to use, but you also have to be really careful to expose the right kind of level of metrics and monitoring, because people have nowhere to go to find out how their server's running. They can't pick up the phone to their IT department or to their hoster to say, hey, am I running out of heap space yet? But there's a level of service transparency that you have to make in your SaaS solution to make people comfortable that the server environment is running as it should do. So we're putting some efforts about what metrics and information we can expose to kind of more technical administrators of Commerce Cloud to give them some comfort that the thing is running as it should do, but also highlighting where maybe a payment gateway integration has started to fail, or another integration to an order management system is failing, and giving them the tools to rectify that. Well, basically be alerted to that very, very quickly, but also the tools to rectify it as well. We continue to leverage other parts of Oracle. There are so many cool products that are on my periphery which augment the story that I can bring to our customers. content management, chatbot services, integration services, all of these things are built in Oracle teams around me, and all I have to do is very often just put a little bit of connective tissue between Commerce Cloud and those other services, and the end-to-end proposition I can bring to market just balloons very, very rapidly. That's such an exciting prospect. It means that we're not on our own in having to develop all out this. We really are in a development ecosystem which means that our customers and our partners can assemble those right products together to create something that's a unique fit for them. That's a really cool proposition and very different than where we were 10 years ago. The other aspect is continuing focus on what we call merchant insights and business optimizations. So my vision is that is the use of AI and machine learning to the benefit of not only the end shopper in making sure they're seeing product recommendations that are cool and those kind of things, but actually turning it in on itself and making sure that we have a set of tools that business merchandisers can understand, and where the system can make recommendations on how to better optimize the site and the business overall. So we're starting to, I think 2020 will actually start us to see us delivering some of those first set of features. And there's some very cool things we can do there. But there are some really big projects that we're in the middle of right now. And one of them is a realization of how the market is evolving for how people want to consume SaaS services into their applications. When we built Commerce Cloud, we built a storefront framework that was basically to a designer or to a developer presented with a design studio where you could assemble the layout of your pages and install widgets, some built by Oracle, some built from the marketplace, some built yourself, and you assembled that experience, and it magically presented itself as a storefront to the shoppers. And it was all kind of in one big blob. All of the scaffolding and all of those widgets was all in one application. And in the meantime, we've seen the rise of headless. So people wanting to be able to consume services, SaaS services, not just commerce, any service, in an easily to consume way, so that you can make use of those services into your own application development projects. And so we had kind of two ends of the spectrum. We had a highly curated designed experience that we had in Design Studio, where we almost tried to dumb down the technical skill level needed to create that experience, all the way down to the headless mode of, here's a load of APIs, knock yourself out. It was almost like we got Visual Basic at one end of the spectrum, and you got machine code all the way down here. And that's not a great set of options. So what we've been building, and we'll be delivering in the early part of 2020, is a new storefront framework, which bridges that spectrum in a lot neater way. And the primary thing we're doing is that single blob of the storefront framework and how, or what manifested itself as a storefront to the end shopper, we're splitting into two layers. There's kind of a bottom layer of the cake, and then there's the top layer of the cake. The bottom layer of the cake is a layer which allows application developers to leverage all of the state management and API wrappers into a very easy to consume library from which you can build out a commerce application. And we ourselves are using that bottom layer, that Commerce Cloud core, as part of our next generation storefront framework. So we're eating our own dog food on that. But it's also the same library that application developers can use themselves if you are fundamentally building an application that is running in an environment where JavaScript can be leveraged. You can use that library to start building out your own application development. You don't have to go all the way to the machine code end of the spectrum and say, here's a load of APIs, you're on your own. You know, that's That's where dear old Kelly is. We were perhaps too far at the other end of the spectrum. We're finding the happy medium in the middle. So this strategy allows us to have a very highly curated experience. If you want to go and build your own React or Angular or Vue application or progressive web application or whatever you want, you too can use that Commerce Cloud core library to build out that experience, and you will be using exactly the same library that we're using ourselves. So it will evolve and be maintained and supported, just like anything else. And yes, you can go all the way down to the machine code end of the spectrum and use native APIs yourself as well. But quite frankly, we don't think the world is highly curated or headless. There's this thing in the middle. And Gartner and Forrester are finally starting to cotton on to this. If you're running an environment where you can run a set of more useful functions that means you don't have to code against native REST APIs, then surely that is a better leap-off point, a better jump-off point for application development than starting with a set of APIs. So we're providing a full spectrum of options for the types of commerce applications or the way you want to use commerce services into your own applications. And that is a great story. That is a unique story. I haven't seen anyone have that yet. There's too many vendors focusing at one end of the spectrum or the other. For Commerce Cloud, we're going to have the full spectrum. The other thing that we've been spending a lot of time for Commerce Cloud is the operating environment itself. We're on a move from where we have historically run Commerce Cloud in the data center, we run that, and we're moving on to Oracle's next generation of cloud infrastructure called, cunningly, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, OCI. And the number of services that we have available to us in OCI is phenomenal. All the way down to databases and Java environments and Kubernetes clusters and monitoring and load balancers, and all this stuff is all there for us to use and tap into. So as we evolve Commerce Cloud, we knit ourselves into this cloud fabric that Oracle provides us. I think Tom was asking me yesterday, is it possible to pick up Commerce Cloud and kind of run it in a customer's environment? There's a lot of tentacles that allow Commerce Cloud to do what it does because we embed ourselves into the infrastructure of what Oracle Cloud Infrastructure provides. One of the things that we are doing as part of that move is changing the way we upgrade Commerce Cloud. What we do today is if we have customer environments, they have a tester stage, a production environment. Every 6 weeks or so, we'll be updating test and stage so customers can test out that things haven't screwed up through their upgrade. All going well, we then upgrade their production environment. But those are in situ upgrades. In Commerce Cloud, in OCI, as we move on to that new infrastructure, we're following what we call a canary release model, where we will actually be leaving the site running exactly as it is, and we will be bringing an upgraded environment up in parallel with it and start to proportionate a percentage of the traffic over to the new site and check out that that is running and functioning as it should be before we make the switch over. So that means that we have to run spare capacity because we're going to bring up an environment in parallel and make sure it works before we do that. But that certainly really de-risks the upgrade path that we have for customers and provides greater confidence. So that's a really cool addition that we get by running OCI. But the key aspect of us moving on to Oracle Cloud Infrastructure is, I think, the move that we make that really will solidify Commerce Cloud as an enterprise class application. I've been on for me personally, I've been on like a 6-7 year journey with Commerce Cloud. And quite frankly, regardless of how many cool features and functions I can deliver, you need an enterprise class infrastructure to put this on. And the demands of what people need out of an enterprise class infrastructure has changed quickly over the last 5 years as cloud computing has started to evolve. So people still ask, well, Ian, what's your disaster recovery plan? Disaster recovery it's like saying, when your site goes down, how quick can you get it back up? That's not a question for commerce. Commerce should never go down. Commerce should never go down. As we move Commerce Cloud onto Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, what we're implementing is a high availability architecture, which quite frankly, when I look around my ATG customers, we're putting the kind of infrastructure in place that really only probably Best Buy and Verizon could ever afford. It is where we will be running Commerce Cloud sites simultaneously in at least 2 data centers. And within each data center, there is split network fault tolerance, where there is 2 networks, at least 2 networks in each data center. So we've got like 4 layers of redundancy for how your application is running. So we're not optimizing around disaster recovery, how quickly can I get this thing up? We are optimizing on this thing never going down. Never going down. 0 downtime. So that, connected with the canary release model that I presented on the previous slide, really puts us in a position for high-class enterprise computing for commerce. It really is enterprise-class availability, and we're making that available to everyone. The kind of infrastructure that Verizon and Best Buy could only invest on, we are making that as a standard offering as part of Commerce Cloud. And it leapfrogs us across any competitor I can point at. Thank you.